So hey everybody, I'm here with Kathy Snyder, and we have our people here watching on the interview for the call that we're having tonight. So how are you doing tonight, Kathy?
I am doing well, thank you.
Wonderful. So I'm so excited that you're here because we're going to talk about how a nonprofit can use Convene and how specifically how the Midland Area Wellbeing Coalition is using Convene. But before we get to that, let's talk about you. So introduce yourself to us.
All right. Well, I am from Midland, Michigan, and I spent 27 years as a high school teacher and then retired from that in 2020 to take on a role in my community as a coordinator of our newly formed Wellbeing Coalition. So it's the Midland Area Wellbeing Coalition. I've been doing that now then for about 2.5 years. There's about 135 people in our coalition, and I help them do their work, and I help our community to achieve our vision of being a place where we are together, forward, bold, and exceptional place where everyone thrives. That's our aspirational vision for our community, and we're a small part of helping to achieve that.
Absolutely. So what are the different aspects that you're trying to take to your people that are a part of the Midland Area Wellbeing Coalition?
Well, that's a good question. And I think, we've had some conversation, you and I have had some conversation over the last couple of weeks and months, and same with Jeff and with Kate also, that it's really still forming, I guess I would say. I see that there's going to be great value in using this platform to help people in our community to connect in different ways. But I had to get started somewhere. And so the way I've been using it currently is through education, where teachers need to get continuing education credits. And I've been able to put together some programming for them for that in Midland County.
Absolutely. So you've been able to actually, and I'm not sure if I have the right person that you partner with, but is it the school board or is it the school system that is working with you to send teachers through the training that you put together? I might not have that correct, but how you have it set up is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's okay. Pretty close. We've got about, we have five main public school districts in our county.
Okay.
And one of them, which is the Educational Services Agency that provides services for all of the county schools, they have basically hired me to create this programming. So then it's available to all of the people in education in Midland County, and not just teachers. It could be, I have paraprofessionals that are signed up to be in it, and it could be really anyone from anywhere in the education system.
Perfect. So you structured it, you have a main group, and one of the main things that you have in there is your experiences where you're giving continuing education credit or you're giving credit. So can you talk about how that is working?
Yeah, sure. So basically what we did is we emailed all of the school districts to get a pilot group of people together that would take this initial set of experiences. And there's about 18 people signed up, and there's probably about 10 right now that are really more active in terms of taking experiences. And right now, I think at last count, I've got 27 experiences that'll be in there over the course of the next couple of days. And each experience that these teachers take or these educators take, so whatever role they play in an organization, they can get continuing education credits through the state of Michigan. Yeah. It's called Sketches, and they fill out a form through a school district that has sponsored it, and then they get that continuing education credit.
All right, so some of them are called life hacks. Talk about life hacks.
Yeah, so we in the coalition in general, we have a lot of different community offerings that people can engage in. One of them is what's called Wellbeing Life Hacks. And back in the first week of January in 2020, we started producing weekly videos of different topics in well-being that would give people simple life hacks to care for their well-being or to maybe share with other people. And so people can now go in through this portal and basically learn about that life hack. There's a PowerPoint, there's some questions, there's a quiz, there's a video, there's all sorts of ways they can engage with the material so that they can earn that credit. But anybody in the world actually can learn these life hacks because they're free for everyone on our website. The videos are.
Yeah, and so we've talked about that too with like Jeff Bateson, for example, and he teaches down in Chatham County and Chatham Charter down in Siler City, North Carolina, and maybe it's something that he can bring to his teachers because they've talked about that as well. And so you're kind of structured for that to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And the sponsorship is through Midland County district. So there would be a small fee for people outside of Midland County.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking at, since this is the first time I'm doing something like this,
Yeah.
to see what the proper price point would be that's not burdensome to educators, and they can still get the learning that they need.
Yeah, that's really cool. So some of the things that you've been able to do is you've obviously created this great group, and you know what we're going to do is I have it pulled up. So let's talk through it a little bit.
All right.
So here it is.
All right.
Everybody should be able to see it.
Yep.
And so we can kind of, if you want to just talk through some of the stuff you have in here, that would be great.
Sure. Well,
while you talk.
Yeah, that's okay. So one of the things I think that's important to know is that we have not built out this platform for the larger coalition the way that I'm starting to envision it might be working. So I needed to get started somewhere, and the low-hanging fruit was with a group that already wanted content, which was the education realm. So right now, this main thing that you're seeing, or that you were just seeing right there, is pretty bare bones. It's really just information about our coalition and the framework that we use for well-being and our leadership team, and in kind of the what and why we're doing what we're doing. So that's pretty much it. There's one experience right now in the main group that people can take, and it's called A Journey Toward Well-Being. This is a workshop we started in 2020 that we run every month, 4 times a day, the first Tuesday of every month. And it's open to anyone, anywhere, again, in the world. I just had 2 people sign up from Kentucky that are interested in learning about this. And the government, there's a .gov, so I assume it's the government. So anybody can come to these. This experience is, open for anyone to take, just to kind of get a little snippet of what well-being is. And you would leave with 6 tools, real simple tools that you could incorporate into your life. So when we get into the group, which is where you went before, this is the one that I've started building out now. And this is the well-being skill building for educators. So when we're in this group, you can see it says 22, but there's a couple of videos I need to get up to my 27. I've got some drafts on here. But this is the Life Hack series. You can see we're on 47, actually 48 launches tomorrow. So tonight after this call, I'll be putting 48 up. For people to get, but we really just started in September, which is why we didn't start with number 1. But we are going to continue this series. This particular series ends actually Wednesday, and then the new series starts on December 1st, and we're going to do them quarterly so that educators can get in there and continue to get credits as much as they want. So that's the Life Hack series, was the first one up there. We also have down a little bit further, we have a 8 series well-being workshop, and that's a workshop that we ran live here in Midland last year. And we just took that and made it into an online experience also. We also do have the Journey Toward Well-being experience in this one. It's just really a duplicate of the other one, but it has a little bit more because we need to identify who's taken it. Whereas the one out in the bigger community, it's there's no test involved with it. So there's really no way to know who's taken those unless they choose to share their name. So that's what's, those are the 3 different kinds of experiences on here. The 4th one that I'm going to be adding in is our monthly Power Half Hour workshop, which will take a topic and just take a half hour to teach some information, a little bit of research about it, and in a simple tool that people can use. And the one for December is fine-tuning your breathing for better well-being. And the one that we just did in November was on a concept called self-determination theory, and how that supports our well-being when we have those components of self-determination theory. So those experiences are going to be added here in the next day or 2, so people can engage in those. And then we'll start a new series.
I love it. So it's working so far. You're putting good stuff in, you're getting the engagement just as a test bed. So you'll start the growth process. And I think that's great. Because I think you guys are going to really make a difference in people's lives, and I hope to help you expand in the long run, as well as everybody else on this call, Jeff and Kate and the others. So it's exciting. Let's talk a little bit about the process that we went through, because I think this is important for people to understand. If you don't mind, talk about coming in and jumping in, and then how we kind of got together and really came up with a good strategy.
Sure, sure. Well, Kate invited me to these calls thinking this would be something. She had heard a little bit about the Wellbeing Coalition, and we've been having some conversations. And I jumped on a call and I just started listening and thinking about how this might be something that would be really helpful for us in Midland. To one of the goals that we have is to be equitable in across our community and reach all pockets of our community. Well, not everyone can come to a live workshop, and not everyone is comfortable to, as Kate mentioned. The anonymous piece of Convene is a really nice feature as well. So just doing a lot of thinking and listening, and then not really sure how I was going to jump in because it seemed pretty large and overbearing. But then the educator piece came up and I said, well, let's just get going on that. And so again, Kate and Jeff and Matt, you all really helped me jump in to kind of build the framework of what this might look like in the future and where to put this educator series so that it's going to be in the proper place eventually. So we created kind of a little flow chart that, the coalition is at the top, and then we've got some different layers in between that I can put in as I start to build those out. Is that answering your question?
Yeah, that is answering. So you and I got on a call one day, and then you came back and really just drew circles. You sketched it out and drew circles. And I highly encourage anybody and everybody to do that, is really take and flow it out. If I could, Laurel and Josh came down to Winston-Salem the other day, and if you could see it on the board over there, we really got to where we just drew circles on the board. And you have to do that because you really, Convene has a lot of flexibilities, but you have to know and think about the flexibility and how you want to structure it. And then it gets easy from then on, but it really think about the strategy. And that's what you were able to do. And in fact, I have an experience where we talk about that, and I have that inside of it, your drawing. Inside of that, I interviewed you before, just me and you one day, and we talked about that because that's part of the learning process, right?
Yep, for sure.
All right, so I'm excited that you're here, and I think as a nonprofit, you're going to help us set the example of how to use Convene. I think it's really exciting. How much does it cost to use Convene if you're a nonprofit?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's right. That's one of the things.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that it's our mission as Convene. We are a public benefit corporation, and we partner with nonprofits like yourself. And the goal is that I believe that everybody that is out there with a nonprofit, you're doing things to make a difference in people's lives. And so for us, it's can we partner with organizations like the Midland Area Wellbeing Coalition, and can we help you guys have a platform where you can really move forward and help people, learn life hacks, for example, to better their lives. And that's so important. You never know, that person that may be going through some anxiety and they need that breathing technique that you are teaching, for example, to just kind of, have a stress-free life, so to speak. So, what we'll do is I'll give you the last words here for a second. But before we do that, I want to open it up and go out to everybody and see if anybody has questions for Kathy about using the platform, or how she's using it, or the learning process, or has anybody got anything to add? Anyone?
Kathy, I got a question for you. What do you suggest that maybe this is a strange question in a way, but what do you suggest the best way to use your little life hacks, whether it be individually, maybe share it with a small group, use it as a staff or a group? I mean, what do you suggest?
Well, that's a great idea, or a great question, actually. And all of the things you said are a great idea. So one of the things that we decided to do from the very beginning is really try to make the series usable in many different formats. So if, for example, you could just go onto the website and you could watch it. But if you wanted to subscribe to our folder, then if you get the folder every week, which is a free folder, you would get emailed to you every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. It has the video, but it also has a PowerPoint. It has a graphic that you could print off and you could post it in your office. It has 3 conversation starter questions if you wanted to make it part of a staff meeting or part of a family dinner time conversation. We really tried to make as many ways as we could think of that people would want to learn the information. We put all of that in the folder. So I recommend that whatever works best for your world is the way that is the best way to use the life hacks.
Awesome.
So,
Thanks.
On that, do you find that the way y'all had those folders
Mhm.
organized, that it fits well within the experience format?
Yes, 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 it does so much, because what I end up doing is the PowerPoints that I send out every week are the files a little bit too big. So I just have to make a copy of it quickly. I have a whole Convene folder in my Google Drive, and then I just take out my fancy backgrounds and then it makes it the perfect size. So I download that, I download the resources, I download a couple things, and the questions I had mentioned, that just becomes the question part of the experience. And then the PowerPoint becomes the PowerPoint, and the video, I put in the background information. It just works fabulously. It's super, super easy. I've
Yeah,
gotten really fast at doing those experiences because it's so plug and play.
exactly. And so that's a good point right there that Kathy makes, is
Mhm.
once you get in there and you use the platform, it becomes extremely easy to use, where people might say, oh my gosh, this is different. This is, I don't, you got to
Mhm.
get in there and use, as Eugene says, you got to touch it. You got to get in there and use it. And then once you
Yeah,
do, it just becomes really, really easy.
yeah.
I got a thought on that. So, one of the things that I try to explain all the time is take the life hacks. We'll use the life hacks as
Mhm.
example. And let's say you put the life hacks out prior to the meeting and people get to answer it. And then you have a follow-up meeting. Guess what you have? You have talking points, because you see
Mhm.
what other people have written. I don't know if you are
Mhm.
doing that, but that's a great way to run training, is have
Mhm.
people do it either before or after, and then talk through what you're seeing. What are the common
Mhm.
threads or the things that people are doing?
Mhm.
I don't know if
Mhm.
that's part of the calculus or what you thought about doing.
Well, in the Convene experience, that's what happens, right?
Mhm.
Because once you answer the questions, when you click the next button, then you get to see everyone else's anonymous
Yeah.
responses.
Mhm.
And I had a teacher say to me how much they really enjoy that, because that's not like other learning platforms they've been on. They really enjoy that kind of, they like the test actually that I give them at the end, and they like seeing other people's responses to things. So that's been
Yeah.
really a nice feature.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Anybody else got any questions or thoughts? So this is exciting to me. Again, you're a classic and perfect example of how the platform can be used by a nonprofit.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to, continuing to work with you, continue to help you grow, but then also, use you as the example. Hey, if you're a nonprofit, here's a perfect example of how you can
Mhm.
use the platform and how you can grow it. So it's very exciting to me. So thank you
Mhm.
for being a part of Convene. I'll
You're
give you the
welcome.
last words.
Well, I was just going to say thank you for all of you that have been part of this journey and getting Convene going for me, in for our coalition. I think, like you said earlier, Matt, it's going to impact a lot of lives, and this platform is so user friendly that that it won't be a barrier for people to use it. I think that's really key,
Yeah.
right? So thank you for that. And plus, I think, as Eugene said earlier, it doesn't have the noise that some of those other social media platforms have, and I think that that's going to be really appealing to people. Also, they can go in and get focused on what really matters to them.
Yeah.
So
I do
thank you.
have, before I let you go, so how many years were you a teacher?
27.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So I do want to ask you, and this is kind of going off on another side note, but for
Mhm.
uniquely you and how
Mhm.
parents and teens can use this. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I just see that, what you do is special, or what you do as a teacher is special, to spend 27 years in the
Mhm.
classroom. And so how can, we continue to grow and impact our kids to make them, life hacks, giving them a better,
Mhm.
way. It's a tough world they're living in. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I do, and I think I got a lot of thoughts on that, friend, more than what we have here on the call. But I think one of the most important things for us to do is to normalize that life has struggle, and that the goal of life is not to be stress free and happy all the time, because it's not realistic. And if that's what you want out of life, you're probably not going to achieve anything, because the best things in life, you struggle to get them. And so to normalize that life has its ups and downs, I think, is a really important thing for all of us to understand, especially our youth. Um, and then to support them through that, teaching them skills and supporting them. encouraging them to take healthy risks, right? That's what it means to be a kid. So,
Yeah, well, I have to agree with you 100% on that. And the flip side of that is life is full of struggles. And I think it's important as parents, this is where you go into the uniquely yours. As parents, we need to allow our kids to experience struggle, experience life. And what we do, I'm a helicopter pilot. What we do as helicopter, our parents is we try to be a hover parent, a helicopter parent. And we try to protect. We're going to protect them at all costs. So we're not going to let them experience life. Well, guess what? That's not realistic, because life comes with struggle. It comes with ups and downs. You know, it's not always this smooth, beautiful path to glory. You know, you get knocked in your face every once in a while, but you got to get up and brush off and keep going. I think we've done a disservice to our kids, if I'm being honest with you, the last number of years. And I think that we have to reframe in a mental wellness way. We have to reframe how we're parenting, how we're teaching in the classroom, how we're working as coaches on the fields and everywhere else, to really kind of build an environment for these kids to learn, you know.
It's okay. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to fail.
It's
okay to not be the best at every single thing you do. All of those things are really important messages for our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I did want to ask you that because, you know, thank you for 27 years in the classroom. I think that's incredible, making a big impact on our kids' lives. And that's just, it's so important to have great teachers, you know, like yourself. So do you miss it?
Thank you. It was the best job ever. But I love teaching high school kids. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And now I teach adults. The only difference is that I have to grade homework. So I still have the best job ever. So that's what I tell people. Adults and kids are not that different. So
that's true. I am a 50-year-old and a 12-year-old mindset. So, all right. Thank you very much, Kathy. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.